Morning, please be seated. Sorry, Chris, you have to interrupt your speech. Good morning. I am also standing in for the President of Kenya, William Ruto, therefore my remarks will be shorter than he would have spoken, but I'll still say the highlights of what he would have spoken if he was here today. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and all the dignitaries present, I am very happy to be part of this very important gathering, the 26th AGM of ATIDI. On behalf of William Ruto, the President of Kenya, I welcome heads of delegation, ministers, shareholders, development partners, members of the diplomatic corps, and all the other guests. Karibuni sana Nairobi. This gathering is not just the 26th AGM, it's also the silver jubilee for this very important institution for our continent. Kenya is honored to be associated with this milestone. And as we have heard from Erastus Mwencha, former Deputy AU Commission Chair, this journey started a quarter century ago when some visionaries thought that it was time to not only write our own story ourselves, but also to tell it. And to tell it not by saying, but by doing. And that is how this great institution was founded. Today, that vision has become a remarkable African success story. ATIDI has evolved into one of the continent's most credible multilateral financial institutions, providing innovative risk mitigation solutions that strengthen investor confidence, facilitate trade, and catalyze sustainable development. I associate with the sentiment of the chair of the ATIDI board when he just told us that beyond the assets of this continent that we repeatedly acclaim, namely a youthful population, arable land, natural resources, strategic location of the continent, and a huge potential for renewable energies resources. Beyond those 5 assets, the asset of confidence in our continent is perhaps much more greater than the resources and the advantages that we have. Africa stands at a defining moment in its development journey. We are progressively moving forward from dependence on externally driven development models towards greater self-reliance, stronger regional integration, and African-led financing institutions. Institutions such as ATIDI are central to this transformation because sustainable development requires confidence, confidence requires predictable institutions, and investment thrives where risk is effectively managed. As you are aware, President William Ruto has been one of the leaders of this continent who have been very clear that going forward, we must not only push for the reform of the global financial architecture, but we must also create African regional financial architecture that underwrites African development, not only in terms of mobilizing resources, but also being able to underwrite risk and be able to give confidence to investors. Ladies and gentlemen, ATIDI continues to demonstrate that de-risking investment is one of the most effective ways of attracting long-term capital investment into African economies. Over the last 25 years, the institution has facilitated billions of dollars in trade and investment across the continent, while supporting governments and businesses to navigate political, commercial, and sovereign risks. That has benefited this continent. Kenya has benefited as well from its partnership with ATIDI. Over the past 2 years alone, ATIDI has facilitated $960 million in trade and investment in this country. And I'm sure the story is the same for many of our other countries represented here. Cumulatively, ATIDI has supported investments across energy, transport, manufacturing, financial services, agriculture, and even infrastructure amounting to $7 billion. Flagship projects, just to mention a few for this country, and I'm sure there are many in your own countries. In this country, some of the flagship projects supported by ATIDI include the Lake Turkana Wind Power Project, the Kipeto Wind Power Project, the Menengai Geothermal Development Project, and all these projects cumulatively have been able to deliver or will be delivering 500,000 households, will be delivering clean energy to over 500,000 households in this country. Kenyan households, and this demonstrates how solutions generated on this continent can transform our continent. I also want to mention that the government of Kenya believes in transforming society from the bottom of the economic pyramid upwards, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which recognizes that public resources alone cannot finance our development aspirations. We therefore continue to strengthen the investment climate so that we can attract private resources to help us transform our society faster and better. We continue to strengthen the investment climate by maintaining macroeconomic stability, implementing regulatory reforms, expanding infrastructure, supporting enterprise development, and deepening regional trade integration. Looking ahead, Africa must continue strengthening its own financial architecture, greater collaboration among African multilateral financial institutions, stronger regional guarantee mechanisms, and innovative financing solutions will enable our countries to mobilize affordable capital while reducing dependence on financing. Kenya therefore welcomes ongoing efforts to establish stronger continental guarantee mechanisms under African leadership. Such initiatives will complement existing institutions, expand investor confidence, and accelerate the implementation of transformational projects across our continent. The future belongs to a continent that believes in itself, invests in its institutions, and creates an enabling environment for enterprise to flourish. ATIDI embodies these values and demonstrates that African institutions can deliver world-class solutions to African challenges. As member states and shareholders, let us continue to strengthen ATIDI through sustained commitment, adequate capitalization, and strategic partnerships. I'm grateful to the ADB. I am told you have multiplied your stake in this institution 5 times. President, we thank you for that investment and that vote of confidence in our own, one of our own institutions. Together we can unlock greater investment, create jobs, expand intra-African trade, and improve the lives of our people. Kenya reaffirms its unwavering commitment to working with ATIDI and all member states to build resilient economies that are competitive, inclusive, and sustainable. I thank the board, management, shareholders, and development partners for their steadfast support over the past 25 years, and hope that through this AGM, we are going to figure out how we navigate the future in increasingly uncertain world, because of the geopolitical and other variables that come into play in this point in time. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, as we look into the future, we must carry the people of Africa alongside with us. We must deliberately be inclusive, include women, include the young people of our continent as we look for solutions that transform the critical sectors of our economies. Into the future, we must create an environment that promotes and gives confidence to investments, and we must believe in our continent. Into the future, we must also be able, for those of us who are in political leadership, ensure long-term stability as one of the variables that are able to help ATIDI and other institutions to achieve the very noble objectives that they have for our continent. And looking into the future also, for policymakers, we must ensure policy continuity, because in the past, this continent has suffered from policy disruption, lack of continuity. You have a program that runs for a while. When there is change in leadership, that program is disrupted without any economic considerations. So those are some of the things that we must look at and ensure that we support as member states. We support ATIDI and the business community to be able to help us navigate the future as a continent. Thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to declare the 26th AGM of the African Trade and Investment Development Insurance Agency, Insurance, officially open. Thank you very much, and God bless Africa.